celestial beings coming down to earth, gods descending from the sky. Can these events only be found in the ancient legends of the Zuni? Do similar accounts exist in other cultures and other religions across the world? And if so, what is the explanation? We have to remind ourselves that our ancestors were highly intelligent. However, their technological frame of reference was different than our technological frame of reference. So they didn't have the vocabulary with which to describe or with which to name certain things that they saw. So what did they do? They used words that they were familiar with in their time, and so they tried to describe whatever they witnessed to the best of their abilities with their vocabulary. Ancient China also shared some of the same beliefs that can be found in Egyptian, Native American, and Dogon legends, that deities arrived from the stars. According to Chinese mythology, dating back to 3000 BC, when the god named Wang Di was born, there was a radiance from the great star Qi. Wang Di would later emerge from the belly of a fire-breathing dragon to become China's first emperor.
The origins of the Han Chinese people start with a story of a great god looking down with empathy. Here were the people in poverty, in a beautiful, rich country. The landscape profound, but the people were suffering. He took pity and decided to come down.
Wang Di arrived on planet Earth in a flying dragon. He had the power of flight. Wang Di could be anywhere within minutes, and he usually accomplished this by hopping on his dragon and flying somewhere.
Now this divine energy becomes human and is a great leader, the Yellow Emperor, who rules and unites the people, and there's a period of great prosperity until his work is done.
Wang Di brought order to the chaos, creating China's first empire. He is seen as a cultural hero and is credited with the invention of the compass, acupuncture, and the standardization of Chinese writing. One of his greatest legacies is the Great Wall of China.
When the land is prosperous, he decides it's time to go. And the great yellow dragon comes back, and he gets back into the belly of the dragon and flies off forever.
Now, were these dragons truly dragons in a biological nature? Or were they misinterpreted types of machines? Because, as we all know, dragons are always correlated with spewing fire and a lot of smoke. Whenever we see a modern rocket take off, there's always smoke, and sometimes the smoke is yellow and sometimes it's red. So it's very bizarre how we have these correlations between the ancient times and modern times today.
Mythology is the effort to grasp what we can't grasp, to understand what is beyond us. In the Eastern teachings, the dragons very often carry people, sometimes on their back, sometimes inside their bellies. So if we think of them as a poet's effort to explain a vehicle that was strange to them, well, those sound like flying saucers. So it might just be a problem with translation, because after all, it's just a word. It's trying to describe something that's very difficult to grasp.
4,000 miles west of China, another tale of celestial beings influencing civilization can be found, this time in what is now modern-day Iraq. The Babylonian legend of Enuma Elish dates back to the 7th century BC. The text was first discovered in 1849, by British archaeologist Sir Austin Henry Layard while searching the ruins of the library of Ashurbanipal in Nineveh. The story tells of how the first humans were created by an extraterrestrial race known as the Anunnaki.
In the ancient text of Sumeria, we have descriptions of these beings descending from the sky called the Anunnaki. The term Anunnaki means those who from the heavens came. It says, word for word, that these beings descended in flying vehicles from the sky. And we can find not only descriptions of the Anunnaki, but also depictions. And we can see them in statues, in carvings. So it's all very interesting to see that those beings looked like modern-day space travelers with weird suits. Some of them wore wristwatches. They had boots on and helmets, and above all, wings. And they were always described or depicted in floating above some quote-unquote regular people. So the question is, who were the Anunnaki? And according to the ancient astronaut hypothesis, they were space travelers who visited Earth in the remote past.
Similar themes can be found in the legends of Greek and Roman gods, which also describe events that some interpret as extraterrestrial contact. Cultures believed in powerful gods who lived in the heavens and often came down to Earth to interact with humans.
A well-known example is Zeus and the Greek gods, and they come down from the sky and Mount Olympus, where they live in some mountain, and they're bringing really civilization and sciences to mankind. But they have many human attributes too, where they're attracted to human women. They want to have sex and children with as many of them as they can, and then they go back into the sky.
These ideas of gods mating with humans are very commonplace, like Zeus in Greek mythology was always coming down, mating with mortals, and producing demigods like Hercules or Helen of Troy, who were, exceptionally beautiful, exceptionally powerful, unusually gifted in every way. So in other words, you were creating a better race in this sense.
In the ancient astronaut opinion, the whole pantheon of gods that we have in ancient Greece consists of nothing else but flesh and blood extraterrestrials who were misinterpreted as being these divine creatures by our ancestors.
There's a lot of evidence showing that we're not alone in the cosmos, and that our human civilizations on Earth have been interacting for long periods of time with extraterrestrial intelligences.
Belief in celestial beings interacting with humans is a cornerstone in several major religions. In fact, according to the Bible's book of Genesis, God created the first humans, Adam and Eve. The Bible also contains other passages that describe strange interactions between otherworldly beings and humans.
People believe messengers of some sort come down from the heavens. They came down and they had sex with humans. And this is where we produce mankind. People like Goliath. So, in a technical sense, they are aliens. They're gods or they're angels or some kind of superhuman thing.
Interpreting these Bible stories has also led to a certain amount of debate and controversy. While most see a single God directing and influencing mankind's destiny, others argue that it is really a number of gods that are responsible.
In the Old Testament, it says very clearly, "Let us make man in our image according to our likeness." Now, grammatically speaking, that sentence doesn't make
sense, because you have God and then you have our image.
Well, theologians suggest that by our, what they meant is the Trinity, the Holy Trinity. So basically, if you were to change the word God to God, then all of a sudden the sentence makes sense. And then the gods created man in our own image.
So you have this reference, let us create man in our image. In several religious texts, specifically the Hebrew Bible, which Christians also accept, and the Quran, which Muslims revere as holy, you have the reference to God in the plural. And it is incredibly interesting.
But do all these religious scriptures that tell similar stories really point to the possibility that aliens had visited Earth throughout ancient history?
The fact is, the story of creation in our own Bible is the story of creation in cultures around the world. The story of the flood, the evolution of the human species, the development of language. All of this points to, in fact, the Bible says so, life on Earth came from contact with an extraterrestrial life form. That's in the Bible, that's in ancient cultures around the world. So I believe the theory of ancient astronauts is true, and I believe there's solid evidence there, and I believe the harder you try to refute that evidence, the more you wind up against the brick wall. That ancient astronauts visited Earth thousands of years ago, and seeded the very civilization we have today.
If the believers in the ancient astronaut theory are correct, then just who were these visitors? And might cutting-edge astrophysics and biology help us to uncover their identity?
When you have tables and your picture freezes, you get irritable. When you get irritable, your work suffers. When your work suffers, the wrong man is convicted. When the wrong man is convicted, he has time to think. When he has time to think,